Did you know there's a super efficient way of making sweeping changes to your Signagelive playlists without breaking a sweat? Let's talk about the Find and Replace tool. Hi there, this is Joe from Signagelive, and today we are going to talk about the Find and Replace tool. Now, the Find and Replace tool allows you to search for a particular asset and quickly swap it out for another asset of your choosing. Today we're going to see this in action because I've got some videos that I need to swap out on a playlist, so follow along and try this for yourself. Okay, so here I am in my Signagelive network, and I have a particular playlist that I need to make some changes to, so I'm going to immediately go and do that. I'm going to head to Content, Playlists, Create and Edit. I'm going to open up my playlist using the Open Playlist module on the right here, select my playlist here, and as you can see, I've got 6 assets here. Each of these are a particular piece of video content, and I've made a minor change to each of these, meaning that I'm going to have to go in and swap out all of these assets one by one. But using the Find and Replace tool, it's going to allow me to do that much quicker. If I cycle through this playlist now, you can see I've got tags applied to each of these assets as well, and they're each different. So if I were to manually do this, I would need to upload my new content, drag it into the playlist, and then manually go in and edit the properties for each of those new assets. Well, with the Find and Replace tool, it will allow me to copy all of the properties from the previous assets and copy that over to the new assets. So let's start by uploading my new content. I'm going to head over to here and hit Media Asset Upload. Okay, so my new content is now uploaded, as you can see. If I head to Recently Added now, I'll be able to see all of my assets in my Recently Added right here. So all of the assets here that you see that say new underscore, these are the ones that correspond with the assets in this playlist, and I'm going to swap them out. To make this easier though, what I'm going to do to start is make a folder. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to organize my content. I want to make sure that when I use the Find and Replace tool, I'm not getting the option of every single asset within my asset library to bring into this playlist as a replacement. So I'm going to create a new folder down here. I'm going to call this New Video Content, hit save, and drag all of my assets over. And I think this is important because when you've got a digital signage network with a lot of content and a lot of players, I think it's important that you organize this efficiently. And of course you can do that with the folders here in Signagelive. So we're going to go to this New Video Content folder here, and I'm going to drag my assets over like so. And now if I click on that folder, I'm now going to see all of my new assets here. Now, once again, the reason I've done this is because when we use the Find and Replace tool, it will provide us with a list of whatever folder we currently have open. And if I had the All filter applied here on the left, it would be showing me all of the assets on my network and I would have to spend time scrolling through them. I want this to be as quick as possible. Therefore, I'm making sure that I have my folder with my assets ready to go. But let's open up the Find and Replace tool. If you head over to the right here where my playlist is, you can see in the bottom right here, you've got a magnifying glass. If I hover over it, it says Find and Replace assets in the open playlist. If I click that button, we will get the Find and Replace tool open. You can see we've got a few things going on here. We've got the Find drop down here, which is going to allow me to select any of the assets from my current open playlist. And I've got the Replace drop down here. And this is why that first step of creating a folder was quite important in this case. Because if I didn't have these assets in their own folder, I would be able to see every single asset on my network. And really that's going to make this process take a lot longer because I'm going to have to cycle through my assets and pick which ones I want to put into my playlist. In this case, I'm getting a condensed view of only my new assets because they're in their own playlist. We have this tick box here, which is going to be very important in this case as well, because we want to be able to copy over those tags from the playlist that I mentioned earlier. I want to be able to drag these new assets in or replace these new assets and automatically have the correct tags applied to them without me having to do that manually. But let's start using this tool. If I click the Find drop down here, and I can start with screen 1, which as you can see is asset 1 here, and it's found that asset for me. I'm now going to select the Replace drop down, and of course I want this to be New underscore screen 1. And that's going to be the replacement asset, which is going to take place of this one. Now going down to these arrows here, I have the option of Find Previous and Find Next. If I have multiple instances of the same asset in a playlist, this will allow me to cycle through them one by one, and I get to make the choice of which ones I want to replace, or I can simply replace all of them by hitting this Replace All button here. But if I was going through it one by one, I could just click this Replace button here, and it will replace whatever asset I currently have selected in the playlist. In my case, I only have one asset that I want to replace for this particular asset, so I'm just going to hit Replace. And you can see that has immediately copied over my new asset, New underscore screen 1 landscape spelled incorrectly, but that's on me. But you can see that it's copied over all of the relevant tags as well. And it would also copy over any other properties from the previous asset if I had them applied as well, such as the duration, the conditional tagging as you've seen, validity, recurrence, and so on. But let's try replacing multiple assets now. I'm going to close the Find and Replace tool, and I'm going to duplicate this asset a few times like so. So you can see I've now got a few instances of screen 2 here. You can see down the bottom I've just duplicated them and put them at the bottom. So now let's go back into the Find and Replace tool, find screen 2 asset, and we're going to replace it with our new screen too. And now, as I said earlier, I can find next and cycle through these one by one if I want to replace select instances of this particular asset. But like I say, if I want to do all of them, I can just do replace all, and immediately it's going to replace any old instances of that asset with the new versions. So all that to say, it's time to ditch the manual updates and start using the find and replace tool. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any more questions, please do get in touch. And in fact, get in touch and let us know how much time this saves you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.